May 14, 1947, Munich, Germany. Elisabeth Müller was darning socks when the knock came. 417 days since Klaus had left for the Eastern Front. 382 days since his last letter. 4 years of waiting. 4 years of wearing his ring on a chain around her neck, because it was too large for her thinning fingers. The knock was sharp, confident, not the tentative rap of neighbors asking to borrow flour. Elsa's hand stopped moving. The needle hung suspended over grey wool. Her heart performed that old familiar lurch it had done 10,000 times in 4 years. Every knock, every footstep on the stairs, every man's voice in the street. What if? She set down the sock, walked to the door. Her reflection in the hallway mirror showed a woman who had aged a decade in 4 years. 28 but looking 40, hollow cheeks, grey threading through blonde hair, eyes that had forgotten how to hope. She opened the door. Klaus Richter stood on her doorstep, alive, whole, wearing civilian clothes that fit too well to be borrowed. His face was fuller than she remembered, his hands clean, no signs of the starvation and trauma that marked every other veteran staggering home from Soviet camps. Behind him stood a woman, blonde, pretty, holding the hand of a small boy, maybe 4 years old. Klaus's mouth opened, closed. His face cycled through, expressions too fast to read. Shock, fear, something that looked almost like anger. Elsa. His voice carried no joy, no relief, just a flat acknowledgement. I didn't know you still lived here. The woman's hand tightened on the boy's shoulder. Her eyes moved between Klaus and Elsa with sharpening understanding. Elsa's brain could not process the scene. Klaus was alive. Klaus was here. Klaus was standing on her doorstep with a woman and child like some grotesque parody of a family portrait. Her hand moved automatically to her throat, to the chain, to the ring that had hung there for 1,417 days. The woman's eyes followed the gesture, saw the ring. Her face went white. Klaus? The woman's voice was thin, frightened. Who is this? Klaus did not answer, did not look at his companion. His eyes stayed fixed on Elsa's throat, on the ring that bore his family crest, the ring he had placed on her finger in August 1943 before shipping to Stalingrad. The ring that proved everything. The boy tugged his mother's hand. Mama, I'm hungry. Mama. The word hung in the air like smoke, like poison gas, like the sound of a rifle bolt locking home. Elsa's voice came from somewhere far away, calm, cold. You're married. Not a question, a statement of fact. Klaus's jaw tightened. Elsa, I can explain. You're married and you have a child. The woman made a small sound. Not quite a sob. The boy looked confused. How long? Elsa's voice was still calm, still cold. The shock had not hit yet. She was operating on pure reflex, nurse mode. Assess the damage. Categorize the injury. How long have you been married, Klaus? Elsa, please, how long? The woman flinched. Klaus's face hardened. He pulled the woman closer. Protective, possessive, the gesture answered everything. Since 1940, he said finally. We married in 1940, 3 years before he proposed to Elsa. 3 years before he gave her his grandfather's ring and promised forever. 3 years before he shipped to the Eastern Front as her fiancé. The math was simple, brutal, undeniable. He had been married the entire time. The memory was perfect, crystalline. Every detail preserved like an insect in Amber, August 15th, 1943. The beer garden near Marienplatz. Klaus in his Wehrmacht uniform. Summer heat making the air shimmer. The scent of linden trees and distant smoke from the previous night's bombing. They had been courting for 6 months. Elsa was a nurse at the military hospital. Klaus was a company commander recovering from shrapnel wounds, sustained near Kursk. He was charming, educated, romantic in a way German officers were not supposed to be. He read her poetry, brought her black market chocolate, made her laugh during shifts when she was elbow-deep in blood and dying men. That afternoon, he had taken her to the beer garden, ordered 2 glasses of Pilsner they could barely afford, held her hand across the scarred wooden table. I'm being redeployed, he said. Back to the Eastern Front, 2 weeks. Elsa's stomach had dropped. Everyone knew what the Eastern Front meant. Stalingrad had fallen in February. The Wehrmacht was bleeding. Every officer sent east was another name for the casualty lists. When do you leave? August 30th, he squeezed her hand. Elsa, I need to tell you something before I go. He reached into his pocket, pulled out a small wooden box. Inside was a gold ring, heavy, old, engraved with a family crest and the words für immer, forever. This was my grandfather's, Klaus said. His voice was thick with emotion. He gave it to my father on his wedding day. My father gave it to me before he died in the First War. I've carried it through every campaign, through France, through Poland, through Russia, waiting for the right moment. The right woman. He slid the ring across the table, into her palm. It was warm from his pocket. I want you to have it. When I come back, we'll make it official. A proper wedding, a proper life. But I need to know you'll wait for me. That when this war ends, we'll have something to come home to. Elsa had cried, said yes, slipped the ring onto her finger. It was too large. Klaus had laughed, kissed her, said they would have it resized when he returned. Keep it safe, he said. It's the most valuable thing I own. Not because of the gold. Because it means forever, our forever. She had worn it on a chain after that, tucked under her nurse's uniform, close to her heart. A promise made tangible. Klaus shipped out on August 30th as scheduled. He wrote 47 letters over the next 3 months. Letters full of longing and plans. Descriptions of the house they would buy in Garmisch. The children they would have. 3 boys and a girl if God was kind. The last letter arrived on November 18th, 1943. My dearest Elsa, the situation here is deteriorating rapidly. I may not be able to write for some time, but know that I think of you every moment, that your love sustains me through horrors I cannot describe. Keep the ring safe. Keep yourself safe. I will return to you. This I swear. Forever yours, Klaus. Then silence, weeks passed. Then months. By March 1944, the Wehrmacht telegram arrived. Hauptmann Klaus Richter. Missing in action. Status unknown, missing, not dead. Not captured. Just gone. Elsa had clung to that distinction. Missing meant possible. Missing meant hope. She had seen too many men return from Soviet camps years after being declared dead. Missing meant she should wait, so she waited. 117 days of waiting carved themselves into Elsa's bones. She kept working at the hospital, even as Munich burned, even as Allied bombs reduced entire neighborhoods to rubble. Even as food grew scarce and winter cold seeped through broken windows, she kept the ring on its chain, slept with it, bathed with it, never removed it. The metal grew warm against her skin, a constant weight, a constant reminder of Klaus's promise. Other men showed interest. Other officers, doctors, even a few American GIs after liberation. She turned them all down, politely, firmly. She was spoken for, engaged. The ring around her neck was proof. Her mother begged her to move on. 4 years, Elsa. He's not coming back. You're 28. You need to think about your future. But Elsa had seen men return after 5 years, 6, 7. She read every Red Cross list of repatriated prisoners, scanned every crowd of returnees at the train station, asked every Eastern Front veteran if they had known Klaus Richter. None had, but that meant nothing. Millions had died in the East. Millions more were scattered across Soviet work camps. Klaus could be anywhere, could be alive and fighting his way home through destroyed infrastructure and closed borders. She just needed to wait longer. By 1947, Munich was rebuilding. American occupation, Marshall Plan aid. The rubble was being cleared. New buildings rising. Life stumbling forward, Elsa continued working. Continued waiting. Continued wearing the ring. 417 days became routine. Wake, work, scan the streets for Klaus's face. Sleep, repeat. On May 14, 1947, the routine shattered. Greta Richter had been Klaus's wife for 7 years. They married in June 1940, just after the fall of France. Small ceremony. Klaus's Wehrmacht friends, Greta's family from Garmisch, a modest reception at her father's inn. Klaus was 21, newly commissioned, full of confidence and Reich propaganda. Greta was 19, pretty, quiet, from a good family. She loved him desperately. They had 3 months together before Klaus deployed to France. Then Poland, then the East. He came home on leave twice, once in 1941 for 2 weeks, once in 1942 for 10 days. Their son was born in January 1943. Klaus was at the Stalingrad encirclement. did not meet the boy until September 1943, when he returned for medical leave after the Kursk wounds. He spent 3 weeks in Garmisch during that leave, played with his son, made love to his wife, told her he would come home soon. The war was nearly over. Maybe 6 more months. Then he went to Munich for 1 week before redeployment. Administrative tasks, he said. Finalizing paperwork, getting new orders. Goethe learned much later what he had actually done in Munich. Klaus had met a nurse, a pretty blonde nurse who knew nothing about his life in Garmisch. Nothing about his wife or child or 7 years of marriage. He courted her, gave her his grandfather's ring, told her they would marry after the war. Then he went to the Eastern Front and got himself captured by Soviets at the Korsun-Cherkasy pocket in January 1944. He spent 3 years in a Ukrainian labor camp, returned to Germany in March 1947, made his way to Garmisch, reunited with Goethe and his son, said nothing about Munich, nothing about Elisabeth, Müller or stolen rings or false promises. He thought he had gotten away with it. Then Goethe found the letters in his duffel bag, May 10th, 1947. 4 days before the knock, Goethe was unpacking Klaus's things, the duffel bag from the camp, filthy clothes that needed burning, letters from home that had never reached him, personal effects that Soviet guards had kept until repatriation. At the bottom of the bag, she found a bundle wrapped in oilcloth. Inside were letters. 47 letters, all addressed to Hauptmann Klaus Richter, care of Elisabeth Müller, Munich, all dated between August and November 1943. They were copies. Klaus had kept copies of letters he sent to someone named Elisabeth Müller. Goethe opened one at random. "My darling Elsa, your letter arrived today and I read it 3 times. Your words give me strength when everything here is madness. I think constantly of our future, of the house in Garmisch where we'll raise our children, Garmisch, their town, where Goethe lived, where their actual son played in the actual house Klaus had inherited from his father." She read another letter. "The ring suits you perfectly, even if it's too large. Wear it for me. Think of me when you touch it. Remember that it represents our forever." The ring, Klaus's grandfather's ring, the family heirloom that was supposed to pass to their son. The ring that Klaus told Goethe was lost during a shelling near Kursk. She read all. 47 letters. By the time she finished, she understood exactly what Klaus had done. He had taken a mistress in Munich during his leave, given her the family ring, proposed marriage, all while Goethe sat in Garmisch, nursing their 3-month-old son. When Klaus returned home that evening, Goethe was sitting at the kitchen table. The letters spread before her like evidence at a trial. "Who is Elisabeth Müller?" Klaus froze in the doorway. His face went white. "Goethe, I can explain. Who is Elisabeth Müller and why do you have 47 love letters addressed to her?" "It was nothing. A wartime thing. It's over. You gave her your grandfather's ring. I lost the ring at Kursk, you know that. You told me you lost it. But these letters say you gave it to your darling Elsa in Munich right before redeployment." Klaus sat down, put his head in his hands. For a long moment he said nothing. Then, "What do you want me to say?" "The truth would be refreshing. I met her during medical leave. She was a nurse. I was alone in Munich for a week. We got involved. I gave her the ring because she expected something. A promise. I didn't think I'd survive the Eastern Front, so it didn't matter. Then I got captured and spent 3 years in a camp and forgot about it. You forgot you had a fiancé in Munich. She wasn't a fiancé. She was a distraction. Did you tell her you were married?" Klaus's silence was answer enough. Goethe stood up, walked to the window, stared at the mountains. Her voice when she spoke was very calm. "Very cold. You will take me to Munich. You will face this woman. You will tell her the truth, and you will get that ring back. Goethe, that ring belongs to our son. Your grandfather would be ashamed of you. I am ashamed of you. But I am your wife and you will do this right." Klaus tried to argue, tried to convince her to let it go. The war was over. The past was dead. Why dredge up pain? But Goethe was unmoved. On May 14th, they took the train to Munich. Goethe insisted on coming, insisted on seeing this woman who had worn the Richter family ring for 4 years, insisted on witnessing the moment Elisabeth Müller learned the truth. They stood in Elsa's hallway for exactly 11 seconds after Elsa asked her question. Long have you been married, Klaus? Since 1940. The silence that followed was absolute. No sound from the street. No noise from neighboring apartments. Just 3 adults and 1 confused child standing in a doorway while reality rearranged itself. Elsa's hand was still on her throat. On the ring. Her face was blank. Shock had not yet transformed into other emotions. Greta spoke first. May we come inside? The boy doesn't need to hear this. Elsa stepped back mechanically. They entered. Klaus and Greta and the child. The boy immediately went to the window, pressed his face against glass. Watched the street below. Greta sat on the worn sofa. Klaus remained standing. Elsa stood by the door like she might bolt. How did you meet my husband? Greta's voice was carefully neutral. Military hospital. I was a nurse. He was a patient. We courted for 6 months before he deployed. Did he tell you he was married? No. Did he mention a child? No. Did he give you a ring? Elsa's hand closed around the chain. Yes. May I see it? Elsa pulled the chain from under her collar. The ring swung free, gold catching weak afternoon light, the family crest visible, the engraving for Immer facing out. Greta's expression did not change, but her hands tightened in her lap. That ring belonged to Klaus's grandfather. It was supposed to pass to our son. She nodded toward the boy at the window. That boy. Klaus told me he lost it at Kursk. Elsa looked at Klaus. You told me it was yours to give. It was mine, Klaus said, his voice defensive. My family's ring. I could do what I wanted with it. You were married. The war was chaos. People took comfort where they could find it. It didn't mean anything. You proposed to me. I said things I thought you wanted to hear. I didn't think I'd survive long enough for it to matter. The words were said casually, like he was describing the weather. Like 4 years of Elsa's life waiting for him meant nothing. Elsa stared at him. This man she had loved, had waited for, had refused other suitors for, had worn his ring against her heart for only 417 days. He was a stranger, had always been a stranger. Did you love me at all? Her voice was barely a whisper. Klaus sighed. Elsa, I barely remember Munich. I remember you were pretty. I remember being lonely, but love? I loved Greta. I married Greta. You were entertainment. Entertainment. The word landed like a slap. Greta stood up. I think we should go, she called to the boy. Come, Thomas. We're leaving. The boy came reluctantly. He looked up at Elsa with curious eyes. Why is the lady crying? Elsa had not realized she was crying. She touched her face. Fingers came away wet. Klaus moved toward the door. Greta followed with Thomas. At the threshold, Greta turned back. The ring. He wants it back. Elsa looked at the ring on the chain. The ring she had worn for 4 years. The ring that had become part of her body. The ring that symbolized everything she had believed about loyalty and love and honor. She lifted the chain over her head. Held it out. Greta took it carefully. I'm sorry, she said quietly. For what it's worth, I don't think you did anything wrong. You didn't know. Then they were gone. Down the stairs. The door closing with a soft click. Elsa stood in her empty apartment staring at nothing. 417 days. 4 years. All for nothing. Entertainment. She walked to her bedroom, pulled the wooden box from under the bed. The box where she kept Klaus's letters. 47 letters full of promises and plans and lies. She carried the box to the kitchen stove. Lit a match. Fed the letters to the flames one by one. Watched them. Byrne watched her 4 years of waiting turn to. May 14th, 1947. 6:47 p.m. Elsa sat on her kitchen floor, watching the last of Klaus's letters curl into ash. The stove was warm. The apartment was cold. She had not moved in 3 hours. Had not eaten. Had not thought. Just sat and stared at the small pile of blackened paper that represented 4 years of her life. Her throat felt strange. Empty. The weight of the chain was gone. After 417 days, the absence was physical, like a missing limb. She kept reaching up to touch it. Finding nothing, a knock at the door startled her. Her landlady, Mrs. Hauptmann, elderly, nosy, always smelling of cabbage and cheap ersatz coffee. Elsa, I saw visitors earlier. That soldier and his family. Are you well? I'm fine. You don't sound fine. Open the door. Elsa did not move. Mrs. Hauptmann tried the handle. Found it unlocked. Entered anyway. She took one look at Elsa on the floor surrounded by ash and understood immediately. Old women who survived 2 world wars developed instincts about heartbreak. Get up. Mrs. Hoffmann's voice was firm, not unkind. You'll catch cold on those tiles. I don't care. Get up anyway. I'll make tea. There was no tea. There had not been real tea in Munich since 1944, but Mrs. Hoffmann boiled water and added some herbs from her window box. The smell filled the apartment. Mint and something else Elsa could not identify. Mrs. Hoffmann sat across from her at the kitchen table, waited. Finally, Elsa spoke. He was married the entire time. I suspected as much. The good ones don't usually disappear for 4 years without explanation. I waited for him, refused other proposals, wore his ring. I know, he called me entertainment. Mrs. Hoffmann made a disgusted sound. Men who survived 3 years in Soviet camps come back changed. Usually harder, sometimes cruel. They justify what they did by diminishing what others felt. How do you know about Soviet camps? My son. He came back in 1946, didn't recognize his own children, beat his wife for serving him cold soup, hanged himself 2 months later. She sipped her not tea. The man who came back was not the man who left. Maybe your Klaus was never the man you thought he was. Elsa considered this. Tried to reconcile the charming officer from 1943 with the cold stranger in her doorway. They seemed like different people. Maybe they were. What do I do now? You survive, same as the rest of us. You mourn what you lost. Then you move forward. I don't know how. None of us do, but we do it anyway. Mrs. Hoffmann stayed until Elsa finished the herb water, made her promise to eat something. Left quietly, Elsa sat at the table until midnight. Then she went to bed. Did not cry. Crying required emotion, and she felt nothing except empty. The empty space where the ring used to rest against her sternum pulsed like a wound. May 15th, 1947. 7 a.m. Elsa reported for her shift at the hospital as usual. Same route through rubble-filled streets. Same entrance. Same locker room where she changed into her nurse's uniform. Her colleague Anna noticed immediately. Where is your necklace? Gone. The ring? He came back. Anna's face lit up. Klaus, he's alive. Tell her that's wonderful. He came back with his wife and child. Anna's smile died. His what? He was married before he met me. The entire time we courted. The entire time he wrote me letters. The entire time I waited. He was married. Anna said nothing, just pulled Elsa into a tight embrace. Elsa stood stiffly, still could not cry, still could not feel anything except that strange emptiness. I'm fine, Elsa said. I need to work. She worked. Changed bandages, administered medications, held the hand of a dying Frenchman who kept calling her by his mother's name, professional, efficient, numb. During lunch break, she sat in the supply closet and stared at the wall. Dr. Hauptmann found her there. He was older, 50-something, chief of surgery, one of the few senior staff who had not fled to America after liberation. He had known Elsa for 4 years, had seen her refuse dates, had watched her wear that chain and ring with religious devotion. Nurse Müller, you're needed in Ward C. Yes, doctor. She stood. He blocked the doorway. Anna told me what happened. I'm fine. You're not fine, but you will be eventually. He paused. Men like that exist in every war. They take what they want and justify it however they need to. You were not the first woman he lied to. You won't be the last. That doesn't help, I know. But understanding that his betrayal says nothing about your worth might help. You are an excellent nurse, a good person. You deserved better than what he gave you. He left before she could respond. Elsa finished her shift. Went home. Ate bread because Mrs. Hoffmann had left a note threatening to check. Slept badly. Woke reaching for a chain that was no longer there. The pattern continued for weeks. June 1947. Greta Richter sat in her kitchen, watching her husband play with their son in the garden. Klaus was tossing a ball. Thomas was laughing. The picture of domestic normalcy, she could not stop thinking about the woman in Munich, Elisabeth Müller. 28. Thin. Haunted eyes. 4 years older than when Klaus met her. 4 years carved into her face by waiting and hoping and believing in promises that were lies. Greta had not told Klaus she felt sorry for her, that she had seen herself in the woman's face, another woman who believed Klaus Richter's words. The ring sat in a drawer in Greta's bedroom. She had not given it to Thomas yet, could not bring herself to touch it. The metal felt tainted somehow. Stained by betrayal, Klaus came inside, poured himself schnapps. Sat at the table, "You're quiet, I'm thinking. About Munich. About many things," Klaus sighed. "Greta, it was 4 years ago. I was a different person. The war made everyone do things they regret. Do you regret it?" "Regret what? Meeting her? Giving her the ring? Getting caught?" "All of it," he considered. "I regret hurting you." "I don't regret the affair. She made me feel alive when I thought I was going to die." "Is that so wrong?" Yes, Greta thought. But she did not say it. Instead, she said, "Were there others?" Klaus's face flickered. Just for a moment. But it was enough. "Were there others, Klaus?" "Does it matter?" Yes, he drank his schnapps. Poured another glass. "A few during leaves. Nothing serious. How many is a few?" "I don't know. 3, 4? I didn't keep count." Greta felt something crack inside her chest. Not her heart. Her heart had cracked years ago. This was something else. The last remnant of belief that her husband was a good man who had made a mistake. "Did you love any of them?" "I love you. I married you. I came back to you." "That's not an answer." Klaus stood. "I'm tired of this conversation. The war is over. The past is dead. We have a son. We have a future. Can we please move forward?" He left the kitchen. Greta sat alone. That night she pulled out the ring, studied the engraving. Für immer. Forever. What a lie that word had become. August 1947. 3 months after the knock. Elsa received a letter. No return address. Munich postmark. Inside was a single page in careful handwriting. "Dear Fräulein Müller, you don't know me, but I know of you. My name is Anneliese Schmidt. I was Klaus Richter's mistress in 1942 during his leave after Poland. I am writing because my friend Helga mentioned she saw Klaus at the train station in June with his wife and child. Helga described the wife and I realized it was not you. I know about you because Klaus showed me your photograph in 1943 when we met again briefly. He said you were his fiancé, that you were waiting for him. But I also know that Klaus was married to Greta since 1940. I learned this when I went to Garmisch, looking for him in 1943. His wife answered the door holding a, "Baby, I am writing to tell you that you were not alone. There were at least 2 others I know of. A nurse in Frankfurt named Petra, a shop girl in Berlin named Inge. Possibly more. Klaus Richter collected women like other soldiers collected medals. He told each of us the same stories, the same promises, showed us the same poems he claimed to write himself, but I found later in a book of Goethe. I don't know why he did it. Perhaps the war made him cruel. Perhaps he was always cruel and the war just gave him opportunity. I'm writing because I wish someone had warned me. Someone had told me that the man proposing marriage was already married. That the ring he offered belonged to another woman. That every word from his mouth was calculated to extract what he wanted. You deserve to know you were not the first. You were not special. You were convenient. I hope this brings you some closure. I hope you move forward. I hope you find someone worthy of the loyalty you showed to a man who never deserved it." With sympathy, A. Schmidt Elsa read the letter 3 times. Then she laughed. It was not happy laughter. It was the laughter of someone who has stopped expecting anything good from the world. The laughter of recognition. Of pieces clicking into place, Klaus's poetry. She had thought it beautiful, original, romantic, Goethe. Every poem he claimed to write for her was stolen from a dead man's book. The proposal. She had thought it spontaneous, heartfelt, real, scripted, performed 4 times at least, maybe more. The promises. She had thought them sacred, binding, true lies. Every word calculated to manipulate and extract and use. She was not special. She was convenient. The realization was strangely freeing. For 4 years she had blamed herself, wondered what she had done wrong. What flaw in her had made Klaus choose another woman? What inadequacy had driven him away? But there was no flaw, no inadequacy. She had been perfect for his purposes, naive, loyal, isolated, easy to deceive. He had not loved her. He had used her. There was a difference. The distinction mattered. September 1947. 4 months after the knock, Greta Richter appeared at Elsa's door again, alone this time. No husband, no child. Just a woman in a grey coat carrying a small package. May I come in? Elsa hesitated, then stepped aside. They sat at the kitchen table. The same table where Mrs. Hauptmann had made herb tea, where Elsa had burned Klaus's letters, where she had drunk cheap wine and wondered how her life had become so small. Greta placed the package on the table. I came to apologize, and to give you something. You have nothing to apologize for. You didn't know. I knew Klaus was capable of deception. I chose to believe him anyway. That makes me complicit. What's in the package? Greta unwrapped it. Inside was the ring. Klaus's grandfather's ring. The Richter family heirloom. The symbol of forever. I can't keep it, Greta said. I can't give it to my son knowing what it represents. I can't touch it without remembering the look on your face when you learned the truth. Why give it to me? Because you believed in it. You kept faith with it. You wore it for 4 years when you had no reason to accept love and loyalty. That means something, even if Klaus never deserved it. Elsa stared at the ring. The gold was tarnished now, the engraving barely visible. It looked smaller than she remembered, less significant. Just a piece of metal, I don't want it. Neither do I. They sat in silence, two women who loved the same man, who believed the same lies, who learned the same truths too late. Finally, Elsa spoke. What will you do? Will you stay with him? Greta's laugh was bitter. Where would I go? I have a child. No money, no profession. Divorce is expensive and shameful. I'm trapped. I'm sorry. Don't be. I made my choices. I married him knowing he was ambitious and cold. I just didn't know he was also cruel. Is he cruel to you? Not with his hands. But there are other ways to hurt someone. He reminds me constantly that I'm lucky he came back. That other women's husbands died. That I should be grateful. Are you? Some days. Other days I wish the Soviets had kept him. The honesty was shocking. Elsa understood it completely. Greta stood. Keep the ring, sell it. Throw it in the Isar, I don't care. Just don't give it back. It doesn't belong in my house anymore. She left before Elsa could respond. Elsa picked up the ring. It was heavier than she remembered. Or maybe she was just weaker. She walked to the window, opened it, held the ring over the street below. Could drop it, watch it fall, let someone else find it and wonder at its story. But she didn't. Instead, she walked to her bedroom, put the ring in the wooden box where Klaus's letters had lived, closed the lid, slid the box back under the bed. Maybe someday she would know what to do with it. Today was not that day. 5 years after the knock, Elsa married a doctor, a quiet man named Friedrich, who had lost his wife to typhus during the war. He knew about Klaus, about the ring, about the 4 years of waiting. He courted her slowly, patiently, never pushed, never demanded, just showed up consistently with flowers and conversation and the steady reliability of someone who meant what he said. They married in a small ceremony. No grand promises, no dramatic gestures, just two damaged people choosing to build something gentle together. On their wedding night, Friedrich asked about the ring. Do you still have it? Yes. Does it still hurt? No, it's just metal now. Just a thing. Do you want to keep it? Elsa thought about it. No, I think it's time. They walked to the Isar River. The water was high from spring melt, dark and cold and moving fast. Elsa threw the ring as far as she could. It made a small splash, disappeared into the current, gone. Friedrich took her hand. They walked home together. The weight on her chest was finally gone. Elsa Hauptmann Müller was 60 years old, mother of 3, grandmother of 5, retired nurse, happy wife. She rarely thought about Klaus Richter. The years had sanded down the sharp edges of memory. What remained was more lesson than pain. She learned that loyalty to an unworthy person was still wasted. That love without honesty was just manipulation. That the ability to wait did not make waiting worthwhile. She learned that some promises were meant to be broken, that some people lied so smoothly you never saw the deception until it destroyed you. That surviving betrayal was its own kind of strength. She never regretted the 4 years. They taught her what she would not accept, what she deserved, what real love looked like when she finally found it. Klaus Richter died in 1968. Heart attack. Elsa read the obituary with detached interest. It mentioned his wife Greta and son Thomas, his military service, his work as an accountant after the war. It did not mention the women he deceived. The rings he gave to multiple lovers, the promises he made and broke with equal ease. History would remember him as a veteran. A father, a husband. Elsa knew better. She folded the newspaper, finished her coffee, went to her garden where Friedrich was planting roses. "Everything all right?" he asked. Everything is perfect, and it was. The ring was gone. The weight was gone. The man who had stolen 4 years of her life was gone. What remained was the life she had built from the ashes of his betrayal. That was enough. That was everything.